Hey there, I'm Vanessa Konecki, and welcome to Stop Shitting All Over Yourself, the podcast that empowers you to embrace your authentic self. Every episode, I chat with extraordinary individuals who've boldly navigated the journey that you're embarking on, a journey of shedding societal expectations and scripted life paths. Together, we're ditching the shoulds and creating a life blueprint that's genuinely our own. Get ready for stories that uplift and strategies that will pave your way to a life filled with happiness and joy. As always, a huge thank you for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like or subscribe button for all the uplifting content from Vanessa TV. Now, let's dive into today's conversation with Miranda VonFricken's, LinkedIn expert and coach. Now, in addition to having the most incredible last name of all time, Miranda is the perfect person for this podcast because if you've seen her or you've seen her LinkedIn, which the link is in the show notes, she is pink as fuck. Like seriously, she is bold, she is wild, she is pink. On LinkedIn, I know, I'll pause while we all grab at our collective pearls. She does it and she does it successfully. So she is exactly what people like us need on our journey. Because one of the biggest challenges to our growth and authenticity is the resistance that we're met with as we try to buck societal norms. People really resist that even though they know that our unique perspective is exactly what's needed to solve their problems. So the secret then is for us to provide companies and organizations with a spoonful of sugar to help our particular type of medicine go down, as Miranda shows us how. She shares her story going from a game changer in corporate to recognizing that for her to really fly, she needed to step away. We'll learn the techniques for getting accepted as your authentic self in the corporate world and what to do if you realize it's not for you anymore. Let's listen in. If you swear, we're very chill.
I love it.
We're all very chill here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast, where today I have Miranda, with the greatest last name ever, VonFricken's, with me today. Love your name. And we'll talk about that. But Miranda helped me to completely revamp my LinkedIn. I cannot tell you how much I love my LinkedIn now. It's so gorgeous now, thanks to you. Oh, I love it. And so I wanted to ask, I invited her on because I want you guys to hear her genius and her fantasticness. But before we dive into all of that part, first I'd like you to get to know her a little bit because I've spent the last, 6 to 8 months following you, but my audience is not. So Miranda, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? How do you help people?
Thank you so much. I'm pumped to be here. I feel like I follow you, even though I'm not even in your industry. I just feel like your energy is just a light in the darkness, and I'm here for it. So, of course, thank you for being here and bringing me to your audience. I'm so grateful. So I am a LinkedIn strategist and a personal branding evangelist is kind of what I've been terming myself these days. I feel like I switch my title whenever the spirit moves me. Like, I call myself something different depending on the weather. It's hilarious. But those are the two main things that I do besides female empowerment. It's mostly LinkedIn, personal branding, so expressing yourself on the platform, feeling confident in your content, like all that good stuff. And that's really what you and I talked about when we talked about things LinkedIn.
It's true. And I'm curious, you mentioned the personal branding and, when somebody goes to your LinkedIn page, which is in the show notes for you guys to check out later, but like you have a presence, like nobody's going to be like, oh, there's Miranda. It's like, oh, Miranda, or you've got a energy, a vibe. I'm curious, like a personal brand, actually. You have what I would call a personal brand. And you mentioned that you're a personal branding evangelist, not a LinkedIn evangelist, which is interesting because so many people are like all about the platform, but you're really more about the branding. So can you tell me a little bit about what's the story with personal branding and why do you care so much about it?
I kind of fell into my own personal brand. Back in the day, I called myself a reformed 9-to-5er. Often, I have escaped that race. I spent 15 years in human resources in technology in an office full of engineers. And I was very much the outcast. Like, I'm pink, I'm bubbly, blonde, high energy, high-fiving people skipping through the corridors. And they're very like, who is this kid? What is she doing? What is happening here? And so my brand can't be based on my energy. So that's the difference. I didn't create this personal brand. I'm just me. I just do me. And it turns out it's a personal brand online and people love it. So I just kind of leaned into more of me and what I love and what moves me. And I think that is really what makes me stand out, especially back in the day in my industry. I was a recruiter and I lived on LinkedIn. It was a platform of choice for me to recruit people. And I think what I had to say and how I felt about the organization I worked for really drew people in, and they wanted to hear more. They wanted to see more. So I just turned out that I had a personal brand, and I really tapped into the power of that, poured a little gasoline on it as the years progressed, and I turned into an entrepreneur. And that is really what attracts people to me, right? I don't do a lot of sales. I don't do a lot of outreach. Like, I didn't reach out to you and say, hey, can I do your LinkedIn? You came to me, right? Because you had seen me through whoever. And it's an energy. It's a vibe. You're right. Personal branding is so important, whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, an executive. It doesn't matter what you do in this world. Having a personal brand that aligns with who you are and where you're going is just a game changer. And the platform of choice for me is LinkedIn. So I'm an evangelist because I'm always preaching personal brand. LinkedIn as well, but LinkedIn, it just happens to be the platform of choice. You can express yourself and shine the light on your awesome on any platform when it comes to a personal brand. It doesn't have to just be LinkedIn. It just happens to be that I've been on LinkedIn forever, and I help people to strategize better on the platform.
I love that you separate, because like the thing is, some people may be like, oh, I don't really want to be on LinkedIn. My entire audience or everyone I know is in Facebook. And it's like, okay, great. Then you're on Facebook, but you still have to know what your personal brand is. And you know, it's interesting, going back to, you were talking about how you need a brand, whether you're an entrepreneur or a business owner or a employee or a corporation. You know, one of the things I train on a lot in the research administration conferences that I go to is the personal branding aspect related to being a manager and a leader, right? Like, what do you want to stand for as a leader and as a manager? You know, because, and I use this example, like, have you ever had one of those bosses that you don't know who you're going to get when you go into the room? Like, are they going to be like super happy, or are they going to be like,
who are we getting today?
You know, but you don't know. And it's terrifying because everyone's like, and that's usually where like people are like, hey, watch out for Vanessa. They're on a rampage today. Like, everybody like lets the others know so that they're aware. Like, that's the, like, you have a brand in that case. You just don't know that your brand really sucks. Like, it's really bad. And then people are terrified of you. But like, you know, I think you mentioned that you kind of fell into it. And I think I also sort of fell into mine. It became intentional later, right? Like, first I was like, oh yeah, here's the thing. But, you know, to the point that I sort of was just talking about, is that like, if people are not intentional about their brands, they can end up being that without even realizing they're being that. So like, let's say someone hasn't fallen into well, they don't know they have a brand, or they've fallen into one that they're like, this isn't who I want to be. What do you do to like be like, oh, I want to change that, or I want to set up a brand? Like, how do you start in that space?
I often say, create your personal brand before somebody else does for you, right? Like, how uncomfortable and crazy is that if someone said like what are people saying about you when you're not in the room, right? That is essentially your brand, your personal brand that somebody gave you, and if you have no control of it. So what I like to say is, it's a combination of what I tell you I am, who I am, how I roll, right, and your perception of it, because your perception is based on my actions, not just what I happen to say on my LinkedIn page or on my website. It's also the actions I take, what I speak, what I do when I'm in a room. So it's a combination of what I say and what they say, and what they perceive of me when they're around me. So the way you can kind of figure out if you have one or what it looks like is to kind of ask people. I know that sounds really uncomfortable. I was at a training one time for a group of new leaders, and I had them as an assignment reach out to 3 people that they interact with the most at their job in their office, and say, can you give me 3 words to describe me as an employee, as a boss, as a coworker? One woman almost refused to do it because she was afraid they were going to be so negative about her. And I felt really bad. And I said, wow, why do you think they're going to be negative? And she may have had a little insecurities about it, but her response was just, I'm very analytical. I'm very to the point. I'm not fluffy. And I just think people take me as mean and, aggressive, and made her really nervous to ask. And so I encouraged her, as did the table she was sitting at, to ask anyway, because I said, is that how you want to be seen? Because if she was like, yep, that's how I roll, I'm aggressive, like, then cool. Like, we did it. Like, let's just up it up, ante it up a little bit. And she's like, no, I don't want to be seen that way. Like, I'm not, like, rainbows and unicorns, but I'm also not, aggressive. And she really saw the difference. And so she did reach out to a few people. Some people got excited and reached out to a bunch. She did like 2 or 3, and she got words like professional and some generic ones, of course. And then she got a word that said driven and passionate. 2 of those words, she was like, oh, I am driven and passionate. She got the analytical because it's kind of an obvious. She loves spreadsheets. But I remember saying to her, and she got very emotional. She started like tearing up a little bit when we got the response the second day. And she was like, I love that some people actually like see through the surface of my actions, like being demanding almost, and see that I was very passionate about my work and driven to get results. And, we all high-fived her, and it was a beautiful moment. But it came for her to realize that the personal brand, she wants it to be more than just what they think. She wants to also have some sort of say in her personal brand. And so I said, all right, well, what do you want to be seen as besides this? So we came up with some other words. I want to be seen as, of course, passionate and driven, but also, thought leader, people leader. And I just want people to see me as someone as a go-to. And I was like, all right, that's great. So this is what you start talking about, telling people or acting as if. And next thing you know, she started really the confidence, and she just lit up, she stood up straighter. And so the personal brand isn't just for them, it's also for us to get in alignment with who we want to be and to start recognizing ourselves as that person. And then when we start acting that way, when we tell ourselves that we're passionate and driven, next thing you know, we're holding on to that and becoming more of that, and people are going to start seeing it. So it was beautiful. And she's an employee, she's a manager, she wasn't, an entrepreneur looking to get more attention. She just wanted to be seen for who she actually was in her own office. And the personal brand kind of helped to do that.
That is such a beautiful thing. Like, I love what you said at the very end. She wanted to be seen for herself in her office, because I think that we spend so much time at work, right? Just with people. I mean, nowadays a lot of people are remote, but we're still engaging with people in the workspace. And I think for a lot of us, we feel like there's a way we're supposed to show up, right? So that's actually always been one of my biggest challenges. 15 years ago, I couldn't be this, in the workspace that I'm in now. And in fact, I left and came back, and now it's fine, but the world had to change to get there. But I think that I always was there was a price to pay for the brand I chose. So the brand I chose was, there were things about me that I'm like, this is who I am, and I don't want to change them. I don't want to. And one of them is I call everybody dude. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's dude, right? And it's not a gender thing. It's also not a like, if you're a doctor, I'm going to call you dude, right? If you're a, CEO, I'm going to call you dude. If you're an admin. And if you tell me not to, I won't. But like, I tend to be, sort of just generally speaking, very casual, very chill. Most people are fine with it, but it sends the message that I'm unprofessional. And as a result, many people see me as a child or very childlike or kid-like. And I accept that that's the price that I'm going to pay for this because I want this. I like being kid-like. Like, yes. So I'm curious to know, have you worked with people who have brands like that where there is a price associated with the brand that they're selecting? How do you typically navigate that challenge with people?
I can even give you my own example. I wear pink a lot. I'm bubbly. I'm also very emotional. I've cried in meetings. It is what it is.
Me too.
And so I have often become called unprofessional, or I need to mature a little bit more when it comes to the office politics and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, suck it. No, thank you. But so there is like a quote unquote price we pay for being ourselves. But let me tell you, I'm willing to pay that price because I want to be around people who want to be around me. And so hence not being in the corporate tech space anymore. Although now they embrace me, which is hilarious. They're like, oh yeah, we need some energy and some life. And I'm like, funny, you called me emotional back in the day and sensitive, but now I bring life. Whatever. Just give me my patience.
Oh my God, dude, I totally know what you mean. I had people before who were like, oh my God, you're extra. Being extra. Like, we need your energy. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I was too extra 10 years ago, but now you want my energy? Told you I was right.
That's, and it's so hard. And here's the thing. You said the world had to change And when you said that, yes, the world absolutely, in the midst still, we've got a lot of changing to do. But I think we also have to change our perception and what we accept for ourselves. I think that is something I had to realize. I was so like nervous or shy around the suits, right? Like the tall guy in the gray suit, and still I wasn't intimidated mentally, but it was more, and it wasn't until I learned about energy that really made me kind of change how I feel about things. It was his energy coming at me with, I know more than you. And I just assumed he did because he was taller and had a bigger title and had a bigger paycheck and had been in, I mean, even if we're the same age, I just assumed they know more than me because of their level in the organization, which is absolutely not the case because I'm in one office and you lead maybe all the offices, you know, so it's a little different. Like my expertise I had to change the fact that I know my expertise better than you. I specialize in this piece of our office. You maybe specialize in people and numbers and growth and profit. Mine is just people, you know. So for me, I had to remind myself of my power individually, grow my own confidence within, and that kind of helped the outside that I changed.
That's such a good point, Miranda, about how we feel about ourselves. Like I was also like when you described that, I'm like, you know what? I can see that in myself. Like it wasn't like you said, like I'm intimidated by you because you're a CEO. It's I just feel like you obviously know more than me. Like obviously, right? And I think I felt that way about everybody. And I think that I had, and this was actually feedback that one of my bosses, who actually nurtured me throughout most of my career, she was amazing. I mean, still is. And she often would say that I was so I was shy, anxious. It's almost I just didn't. I had low self esteem, and it was evident, you know. And so it was almost like I had my brand, but I lacked the confidence to really carry it, you know. And it's possible that and again, that energy work. I actually want to pause a little bit and ask you this question because like a lot of people are like, oh, business and spiritual and person and all that stuff, keep them very separate. I don't care. Like exactly, right. So tell me a little bit about did you have to blend them before shit started working for you?
100%. And you know what too, I'll even pick up the energy a notch. And so I'm a strong believer in my faith. And so I had to actually I had to own that. And it's actually the name of the podcast is Awesome. But like like I couldn't come up with that name until I did the work internally, right? Like because I didn't know what it was, right? So for me, I had to own all the pieces of me, right? There's so many different intricacies about us as humans, but and we're talking brand because we're talking about the quote unquote professional space, but it's really just who we are, and the brand is how we express it and how we own it, and you know, and what we allow other people to say about us too. So yeah, I had to blend them all. It took a while, of course. Like I never talked about my faith in the office because it's just something you don't do. I never like was silly and funny and told jokes. I just sat at my sad gray cubicle and did my thing. I mean, I decorated my cubicle. Like I had a little beach in a box and I had a palm tree. Like this bit is hilarious. So people knew I was silly and like whimsical sometimes. And I love fairy tales, and I have like little fairy trinkets on my cube or whatever, and some Star Wars rings. It's hilarious, but like people like kind of get bits and pieces of our personality based on how we express ourselves and maybe how we decorate our cube. But when I'd go to meetings, I would shut all that off. Like my cubicle was kind of my safe space in the office because it reflected who I am, and so I felt good. But the minute I left that cubicle, I put on this persona, this mask of uber professional person. Sometimes I'd wear my hair back, so they take me more seriously. I'd wear my black glasses, you know, instead of the pink ones. And because I just felt like when I was talking to executives, having pink glasses and a tutu on, and it really didn't command respect. And so I wanted their respect because respect equals money, right? Let's be honest, and it's kind of how I felt in that space. And it wasn't until I started to realize that I have a calling, and it's on my heart for a reason, and I have to follow it. And the only way I can really be good and successful at it is to be who I'm meant to be. And so I got okay with the people exiting my world that weren't meant to be there. So that's a little bit of the price we pay is people leave. I'm cool with that now. I wasn't cool with that. I was kind of people pleasing. Wanted to make everyone happy, and The minute I realized it's not my job to make everyone happy, my job is to teach you LinkedIn. My job is to hire you. My job is to help you shine a light on your awesome, you know. So I actually changed what my job was, which helped me to bring more of who I am to the forefront of my brain and personality.
You know, that's actually a really good point. Sometimes you have to change the job, right? Like, so the job that you're at is not going to be the place where... Was that heartbreaking for you when you realized that, when you had to leave, or was it freeing?
You're going to laugh. I didn't leave. They kicked me out. No, don't be sorry. It was the best gift ever. So I wish I had the story to say, because of who I am too, and now people are like, oh, hell yeah, of course you left. You were like, peace out, sucker. And I was like, no, I stayed a wimpy little,
that's not the story.
Fraction of myself in that cubicle until they said, we're eliminating your position. And that actually, I got position eliminated 4 times in that of 3 years. And so I had already heard the calling. I knew what I was meant to do. I was ignoring it because I was scared. I was so freaking scared. I had the salary. I had the 401k. I had the benefits. I've got a kid in college. I got another little one who's 12 now. Like, I had responsibilities, so I needed the paycheck. And it wasn't until the universe took action for me, because I would have eventually, at least I'd like to tell myself I would have eventually, but it happened for me, and it woke me up. So there's usually something in our life, like either it's a shitty conversation, somebody ignores us in a meeting, we don't get the job, we don't get the promotion. Usually there's some type of catalyst that wakes us up. I have all of those, and I just buried it down. I'm surprised I didn't punch somebody. Like, I'm not kidding.
You're ignoring all the signs. They're literally coming in front of you. Like, there's a sign in front of you saying,
and I saw them.
I don't see anything. What are you talking about?
Excuse me, let me go around that sign. Excuse me. I was like dodging the signs, It was crazy. Like, I saw some of them. I'm sure I missed a few. And looking back, you're like, oh, that was a sign. Snap. But when we talk about energy, until I started doing like energy work and working with energy alchemists or Reiki healers and intuitive coaches, I didn't realize what I wasn't realizing. You don't know what you don't know, right? When you're in the corporate space, and my mom told me to get a college education, to get a salary job. That was our way out of the projects when I was little. Like, cool, that's what I did. I checked that box. I get a salary job, and I got the husband, and the 2 kids, and the 1.5 dogs. Like, I did the things she wanted for me. I checked all the boxes.
Are you happy?
I thought I was, but I knew I wasn't, because there was this one moment at a Panera Bread where I was like, oh, I'm so sick of the same. I was cooking chicken for my family and went to Panera I was leading a mastermind in person with a bunch of women. And we're going around the table talking about our day. And I said, I got so mad at chicken breast today. They were like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, girl? You got mad at a chicken breast? And I'm like, I did. Like, I'm so fucking sick of cooking the same chicken, like, for dinner, for the family. It was like Groundhog Day. And it just kind of all flooded in. I started crying. It was a thing. And I felt so bad because I'm leading these women and going through the same thing they were going through. But them watching me, it was so empowering to them to see that they're not alone. Even the leaders have issues. Like, doctors need doctors, coaches need coaches. And so for me, I was miserable at work. I just lost my 19-year-old brother at that time. I was just in Groundhog's Day with my chicken. It was a whole thing. Created a keynote about this chicken. It was hilarious back then, but you don't see the signs until you start to open yourself up to them. And so obviously, like, the loss of my brother was one. Getting laid off 2 weeks later at a company I drank the Kool-Aid at. Like, I dropped all my side hustles just to work on this organization and their growth. And they still picked me out while I'm, like, grieving the loss of my brother. So those were some heavy, deep signs. We don't always get the heavy, deep signs. Sometimes it's just, this promotion isn't for you, so-and-so got it. There's still signs. And if they start to add up, they start to change you. And it can change you for the better, make you leave, or change you for the worse, and you kind of stay and become like a different version of who you're meant to be. So I know this is a tangent. Like, I could talk all day, but we talked about branding and blending our life and doing the work and personal development, connecting with healers. This is what made me become more of me and to not only see the signs, but act on them. So I may have gotten laid off. I didn't actually be handed my 2-week notice. I did actually have a plan to leave. It just happened a little sooner. So I think emotionally it worked out in my favor. It's always a gift. And I'm very lucky because looking back now, I can imagine what I would be or who I would be internally if I was still in that stagnant cubicle. Now, it doesn't mean everybody's meant to leave and go be an entrepreneur. It could just mean that you're in the wrong office, you've got the wrong department, like you're acting off from who you actually are, right? It's just becoming more of who you are. And if you're not even sure who that is, that's probably the first place to start, right? Like I love to be practical. So the first place to start is just to say, like, am I living the life I was put here to live? Am I exactly who I'm meant to be, or am I a version of it? Like, you can be real with yourself. You may still lie to yourself sometimes, but if that's where the help with other people kind of come in, like therapists, counselors, coaches, and get some, assistance, have them draw it out of you. So when I do personal branding strategy sessions, I pull all the coolness out of people, and they're like, and I write something up for them, and they're like, I didn't even realize how cool I was until you wrote this. I don't have any biases around you and you. It's just me and you. You have your whole upbringing, childhood, corporate experience, your feelings, your boyfriend from third grade that kicked you on the playground. Like, you got it all in your brain, where I don't. It's just me and you, and I'm seeing your light, and I just happen to put it on paper, and then you get to go live it out. Like, you'll tweak it, of course. It's your life. But I think creating a personal brand, even if you're an employee and you don't need to really like shine a light on an entrepreneurial type journey, shining a light on who you are is probably one of our main missions in this world. To be who you are and let the world know it.
Agreed. I think also, like you're saying, something you said about like, even if you're not going to be an entrepreneur, it's important. I think I remember I started training on personal branding, actually, honestly, long before I really, like, I was still learning it as I was still training it because it was such a new idea, but I was so excited to share it because, like, no one was talking about this. This was, like 20 years ago, like, where we're all starting to talk about it, and I was still learning it. But you mentioned during one of our conversations that I want to bring up here is that, like, your bosses have words that they associate with you. Your colleagues have words they associate with you, and so on and so forth. Like when you were asking, like, what are those 3 words? And, if you don't know what words you want people to associate with you, right, then they're just going to pick whatever words they want. But if you don't know, if you pick the words, then you can be like, I'm going to always act in alignment with those words, right? So it gives you that framework. Then you are more likely to get promotions. You're more likely to get noted. People know when they can come find you or why, because they know. Actually, Miranda, I'm really curious. Like, I have ADHD, so I'm like all over the fucking place. But here's where I ended up right now on this one. I want to ask you this question, right? So when you think of I feel like every single thing in this world is marketing. Whether you are trying to get a raise, whether you're trying to get promoted, or you're trying to sell someone your pencil or your widget, like, in the end, you're marketing something to someone. So you have to know what you're marketing. So my question to you, I guess, would be, is that when you work, so let's say I come to you and I'm working, because when Miranda and I worked together, I was like, really like, I don't know what I want to do, dude. I just need to update my LinkedIn and we just need to make it look great. And she's like, all right, let's do this. So you can be as vague as you want and she will pull it out of you. And now I work in corporate because I had a very specific mission in mind of what I wanted to do. So now let's say someone comes to you and they're in corporate and they're like, listen, I either want to raise or I want to move up in the ladder and I've been stagnant for a while. Okay. And they say to you, I feel like LinkedIn is really powerful. It's like this place where people do all these things all the time, but I've never seen any value in it. I don't know how to use it, which I think is what I said to you myself, actually. That I was like, look, I don't know what the hell this thing is. Like, it's great. I know I'm supposed to use it. I know I'm supposed to do things with it. I don't know what to post. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. What do you, like, what would you advise someone, or you're like, all right, let's talk. What do you say?
The first thing I say are, what are your goals in general? Tell me your life goals, your health goals, your career goals, your family goals. And they're like, well, I don't care about any of this shit. I actually got LinkedIn. I want you to get talking and start feeling open about expressing yourself. Right? So even if you're like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds, or you're like, oh, I want to get 6 more tattoos, and like, this is awesome, give me it all, like, what do you got? And we don't even really get to the LinkedIn side yet until we dive deep into who you are. And it's really just, I disguise it as a coffee chat. I just want to tell me all about you, right? Like, I want to hear about you and who you want to be in your grow up, and what's your heart's desires, and obviously the career part comes because you feel so comfortable just chatting and having a cool conversation. Next thing you know, you feel calmer, your heart feels full, and you're like, yeah, actually, you know what? I really want to get promoted, but I don't like to work with people, actually. And it's funny, like the shit that comes out during these calls, it's like, so the next promotion level, do you work with people? Yeah, I need like 7 of them, and I need like 4 right now. And it's the funniest shit that comes out of people. But, so we have a really nice, honest conversation. I'll ask some really cool. So I'm trained as a life coach, so I'm really good at asking many questions. I thought I was going to be Barbara Walters when I was in high school, so I took, my undergrad in journalism, so I'm really good at asking the questions. And so for me, I get some cool stuff out. I highlight what I got to come back to, and then I'll say, well, what makes you think you need to be on LinkedIn? Like, to get a promotion, you're already at your office. Like, why do you think you need to be on LinkedIn? And they'll say, I don't know, everybody's there. I feel like I should. Like, FOMO. Somebody told me I need to be on LinkedIn. Those are the answers I usually get. Unless it's somebody who's like, I'm rocking on Insta. My audience is on LinkedIn. I need them to move on. All right, cool. So entrepreneurs usually understand why they need to be there. Employers are usually different. Employees are usually like, I don't know, my employer told me to. You know what I mean? Like, there's usually that type of response. Everybody's there. Everybody's talking about it, and I want to be part of the conversation. I'm like, all right, cool. Do you think you need it to achieve your goals? And they're like, well, not some of them, but maybe these 2 goals that have to do with my corporate experience and, and getting promoted. And I want people to take me more seriously in the office so they see me as a leader. Cool. How do you think LinkedIn can help? So I just keep asking, how do you think LinkedIn will help? Sometimes they're like, I don't even know. Can you just tell me? And I'm like, yes, let me just tell you. Eventually, I'll tell them if they can't come to because LinkedIn, as corporate-y as it is, and we have our own opinions of this type of platform, it can be whatever you want it to be. And that's what I tell people. Like, what do you want LinkedIn to do for you? What are your goals? And then I can tell you how LinkedIn can help you achieve your goals.
I'm actually curious, how can so now let's say I'm like, hey, I don't know what it can do for me. What can LinkedIn do for people?
So this is where it gets tricky because I need to know what your goals are in order to tell you what it can do for you, because I can just tell you all the things, which I will in this answer in 2 seconds.
Right, and that might take too much. Could you use me as an example?
It confuses them and it overwhelms them.
Yeah, let's use me as an example. And my goal would be to, let's say, get promoted.
Okay. So in order for you to get promoted, you need your higher ups to see you as a leader, as an expert in your industry or field or subject matter expert. How are they going to do that? How do they do that today? How do they know your expertise? Are you handing them reports? Are you leading meetings? Do you have a team currently? So I dive into what you're currently doing. Where's the gap in what they think they see and what they need to see in order to promote you? Then I'll ask, are the people who need to see you on LinkedIn? And sometimes it doesn't matter, right? Sometimes it's like, yeah, they are, and I want to get to them, round about that. And sometimes it's like, no, they're not, but I have coworkers. Cool. Let's get your coworkers talking about how awesome. Let's start a buzz. So how we're going to do that is get your profile looking fabulous. It's going to say all the things you don't actually say in person. You don't walk into a meeting and say, hey, I'm Miranda, I'm a LinkedIn expert, I'm a evangelist for branding.
What, you don't start your meetings like that, Miranda? That just seems odd to me.
Testimonials that say X, Y, and Z. Like, no, we don't walk into a room and just start shouting our praises. Sometimes it's actually really uncomfortable to brag on yourself, right? So to get promoted, people have to see you as fabulous in a brighter light, right? That you need to shine a light on your awesome. You don't do that in person because it's weird. So LinkedIn is a fantastic platform to shine a light on who you are. It's a resume. It's a little bit of a social media site, obviously. It's a little bit of your portfolio. It can be an art gallery if you want it to be. Like, LinkedIn has the ability to showcase all of your expertise through long form content like articles, through conversations with people you would never be able to reach in the industry because they're like in a different country, through putting out short form content or videos for people to kind of feel who you are when you speak, either live or in video, or for you to engage in conversation you would never be privy to, right? So when I start talking about, if I'm an HR leader, which I was back in the day, and I wanted to, there's an organization in Manhattan that a lot of people talk about, especially when I was in tech, that was the mecca. And so I'd start talking to their HR person on LinkedIn. somebody would see it and be like, holy shit, you talk to so-and-so at this company? Oh, yeah, we talk on LinkedIn all the time. Oh, you're on LinkedIn?
Oh my God, I've done that. I've so done that.
Triggering, right? And it's just like magic to me. So LinkedIn can show you in all these lights that you're not able to show people while you're in your separate or wherever you work. Now,
I hated my sad grade cubicle too, by the way. I made it very colorful. I turned it into it. So my first boss, Mark Miller, he was amazing. He was the one who gave my sister and I a chance, got us started in the first place. He let us decorate our little dungeon like the way, and we turned it. He came in one day. He said, "Oh my God, this looks like a Turkish smoking den." We had like tapestries everywhere, and we had lamps all over the place. Oh my God, it was amazing. It was fabulous. You know, you made so many good points here about like so the other day, dude. Now that I'm going to tell you the fruits of your labor and how it all happened. So. You helped me with my LinkedIn like a while back. It was probably about 6 to 8 months ago, and you gave me enough to where I needed to marinate on the information to figure out how I was going to internalize it, and then what was I going to do with it. So it took about 3 to 4 months, and I was like, all right, now I know how I'm going to use this. And I've been posting clips from my podcast and clips from my Commitment to Clock Out series and whatnot. Whatever. And you don't know who's seeing these things. So now I was like, shit, I haven't made my intro video for my Commitment to Clock Out. So I paused on publishing some of those while I made the intro. So it was like a week or so before I actually published my next video. Some guy at work who I adore, we're in a meeting with like all the VPs and directors, and he's like, I saw your video the other day. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I literally have no idea what he's talking about. Turns out he was on LinkedIn, saw my video, watched it. He said, I'm waiting for you to send me the rest. I'm waiting for you to post the rest of it. I was like, oh, people are watching my videos? Like, shit, I really got to upload this thing. So it's like, which I didn't feel super bad about not uploading it, but what I learned, like you just said, is that people they see you, and then they bring it up in a meeting, which in like, he's the only one who actually saw that video. But if you think about the impact that video just had, 8 other people in that meeting now know that I post videos on LinkedIn about committing the clock out and email efficiency, which I would never been able to do that on my own, right? Like, cause
when you train other people.
One of the things, so I do teach email efficiency. That's Commitment to Clock Out. There's a whole video that I'm going to publish on that. But what I actually train on is how to adjust your day-to-day activities and remove the busy work and gunk that has actually grown over time. Because many people are overworked, but they don't realize that a lot of their overwork is because of the gunk that's built up over time, almost like your car with oil. And so I help people figure out their email, which most people do not know how to use their email. Did you know that you can get 2 hours back a day by changing how you interact with your email? That's how freaking amazing it is. Sorry, that's my soapbox. I could be on that soapbox forever. But yeah, but it was really cool. It was very cool that LinkedIn allowed for that level of I'm not actually looking for promotion. I just really am looking to help people. So that was my goal, I want more people to see my content because this is going to help more people find joy in their lives. Miranda, how do I do that? And that's not I want a promotion. It's not I want a job. That's not I want. And you were like, here, this is how you do that. So I feel like that's really freaking cool. That like, so anyone can be like, here, Miranda, I don't know what I want, but I know that I need to do something to get out of this space I'm in. It's almost like you're such a life, career, business, branding coach, like strategic development. I don't know.
I've taken all of my experience. I'm not super old, but I'm 43, so I've got about 23 years of experience in the corporate space. I started as a recruiter and like a external recruiter for like an agency, became a career director out of college for 6 years, then became the director of admissions out of college. So I've got a lot of like young personality examples of helping them to connect with opportunities, like how to act as a newbie, how to interview. So life coach, career coach, mastery of motivation. Then became an HR leader and then a trainer. So everything has to do with people. I got the life coach and the master on the outside to make me better at what I was doing inside the job. Now, as LinkedIn specialist and a branding evangelist, I utilize all of it. It's like taking all of my little baby superpowers and just shining it all onto you in order for you to do what you're meant to do. Like I shine the light on you, I help you figure out who you are, who you're going to be when you grow up, how we're going to get there, and then how to express it in a way that's authentic. Right? It's not fake. We don't put crazy crap on LinkedIn that says, like, look at me, I'm fantastic. Like, I can change your world in my office. Like, promote me. It's nothing crazy. It's just, it's being very authentic, creating content that showcases your value. And I hope you to understand your worth so you can go get what you're worth if it's a paycheck. Right? So I just take all of that stuff and I understand. The personal branding, I didn't realize there was 2 incidences in my corporate life that made me realize how important the brand is. One was a cover letter came to me and said, I only know about this. She didn't know she was writing a cover letter to me, but said, I know about this job because I follow Miranda VonFricken's in your company on LinkedIn. It was hilarious. Somebody was like, what is Miranda doing? Why are people writing cover letters to her? So you're welcome, company. And the second one was, it was actually an opening to one of my keynotes on personal branding, was I was in a meeting, CEO was leading it, it was marketing, it was recruitment, human resources, and I think maybe I don't remember the other two, but they came in and the gentleman was like, oh my gosh, like, talk about LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn, we've got, 4,000 followers on the company page, and everybody's like praising marketing, yay, and then he stopped and gets really quiet. And he's like, so why does Miranda have like 10,000 followers? What is she doing that we're not? Of course, I get side eye from marketing guys. They're like, what bitches?
Oh, so that's awful. And you're like,
ladies, let me tell you what I'm doing. But he was like, what is she doing that the marketing team isn't getting our company? She's getting more attention than the company. And he's like, good for you, Miranda. That's awesome. Clearly job security. And I started laughing. But he's like, what's the difference? Like, what are you doing that they're not? I'm like, it's my personal brand versus your company brand. People, like, when you ask for a restaurant review, you're not just going to go to the restaurant's page and see what they're telling you. Oh, my steak is the best steak ever. We've got the best asparagus. Fantastic. I want to hear Susie tell me the asparagus is fantastic. I just ate there last night. So the difference was people, although we trust brands, like I love certain brands that I will only go to them for certain things, but it's probably because I feel a good person. Right. So it was my personal brand and my experience showcasing what it's like to work there, how awesome it was, my cute little, palm tree pictures in my cubicle, which didn't say much about the culture. It was mostly about me and my personal experience at the organization, but it made people feel something, right? They felt they wanted to learn more. They felt that I was happy there, so they would apply for the job. They looked at the company. We took them from person to the place, which was the organization. And that's literally like my funniest personal branding story is that, like, of course, it was awkward from that moment forward in the office, but it's just LinkedIn it's a professional platform. So we can be social, we can share. I mean, I don't say share your lunches, but if you tie it into business, like I'm at a business lunch with someone, like, Facebook will share like our recipes and stuff, but LinkedIn, for me, it's just as much social and fun as it is professional and growth and opportunities. So why not bring them both together? So figure out who you are, create this personal brand, feel really authentic and comfortable about who you are, start expressing it, people will take notice. The only thing is, people, when they start to take notice, like you said, there may be a price to pay. The price may be they don't like it. They want you to kind of stop being so fun. You may want to silence what you're doing. I had one organization say, we like what you're doing, but anything you post about us, it has to be in our brand colors. And they were like really boring brand colors. And I was like, not on my LinkedIn page, you're not. I'm not putting silver and maroon on my LinkedIn page. It's pink and purple and yellow and happy. And they're like, but that's not our colors. I'm like, well, I'm not you. On your page, I will put those colors and I'll share it to my page, but I am hot pink and yellow and fun and fuzzies and just this. I'm not going to change my brand on my page. So that's the thing. So our LinkedIn page is our personal profile. And we can still be an ambassador. I actually teach organizations how to be brand ambassadors, right? So you can work for a company, still be yourself, but express it in a way that's authentic to you. I don't have to say what the company tells me to say, but if you want me to put out a post about what it's like to work here because we're recruiting, then I'll do that. But it's going to be how I feel working here. I'll say, okay, if it's negative, I will post it. But if, we're looking, your team is hiring an accounts payable person, and you're in marketing, maybe you could say though, like, oh, we're hiring, I'm so excited, come join our team, blah blah blah. My favorite part of being here is they were Friday, whatever, so you don't have to actually post their job posting. It doesn't have to be what they tell you.
Right.
You can make it your own, and that's where you get noticed. So there is a way to marry what they want versus what we want, but until they fully address that, just be you.
Right, absolutely. I've had the same thing where, someone's like, you have to do this. And for me, that is a deal breaker, right? So and there was a certain point where I realized that I work in research administration, and the great thing about research administration is that you will always be employed. There's always a job, always. And so it's a privilege to be able to say, look, this is the brand I bring in, and this is the brand I'm coming in with. And I think that if a place isn't going to allow you to be yourself, then as someone who spent many years masking in an organization, I really would encourage you to think about whether you want to stay in that organization, because you yourself will end up being damaged as you have to continuously restrict the more gregarious or exciting parts of yourself. So a lot of times these kinds of conversations can be tells whether or not a place is right for you. Because let's say, your boss comes to you and says, listen, we want you to use the brand colors, but I get that you may not. I noticed that you do swear in some of your posts, where you're sharing us. If you share our posts, you not swear in those, right?
But
and I'm like, all right, sure. You know what? I can definitely do that. I actually had somebody ask me that the other day. They said, listen, we really want you to work, because swearing is just a thing I do. And it is what it is. And I had someone ask me, listen, we really like you to be involved, but if you're going to be producing content for us, would you mind not swearing? Right. And I'm like, absolutely. I was like, that's your brand. I'm creating content for your brand. I'm not going to put my branding in there, but I'm just going to have the blue hair. It's still me. I just won't swear. I'm not going to die, right? So, and I think that, I love how you brought those things up. All right, as we start to wrap up, because my God, we got so much good stuff from you today, and it's funny, we literally only asked one question on my list. All the other questions we just sort of flew into from that first thing. So, people are going to want to work with you. They're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to follow you. Tell my friends how to find you.
LinkedIn.
No, really?
Yeah. Yeah, first and foremost, find me on LinkedIn. And then, of course, I'm on Instagram too, Miranda. But you will definitely see the same type of content. Still great colors, still awesome vibes. You're going to get the same stuff from me on every platform. So I'll tell you to go to LinkedIn, because that's what we're talking about today. And then, of course, just DM me. Shoot me a DM if you want to have a conversation, get to know each other, or even work with me. I'm good.
Psychologist, I tell you things, you make a list. You got special